I am Tarun Dua. I am the co-founder of E2E Networks. We started this company in 2009, and since then we have worked diligently to build India's own cloud computing platform, where we have built the entire technology stack from the ground up. Today we have graduated to a full stack cloud platform player with focus on accelerated computing using cloud GPUs, and our platform is used today by a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, data science professionals. We are a small company. We allow every opportunity to everyone in our team to really grow in their role and help bring the cloud computing revolution to the startups and data scientists of India.
Hi, this is Srishti Baweja, Director E2E Networks. Well, my role in E2E has been to hold the fort in terms of run the business operations. What we have learned over the past few years is a constantly changing environment, be it regulatory or otherwise, to run a cloud computing business in India. We remain committed to the best corporate governance practices, and we believe in providing value for our shareholders, investors, and for every member of our team.
Hi, I am Muhammad Imran. I am the co-founder of E2E Networks, and I lead the technology and engineering teams at E2E Networks. We are building the next generation accelerated computing platform, and we work with the latest NVIDIA accelerated computing platforms, and we have with ourselves available A100, V100 and other products with us. So come, let's build the accelerated computing platform of choice for all Indian AI companies.
E2E Cloud is an NSE listed public cloud company. We are an alternative public cloud company. I am very happy and proud to lead sales team at E2E Cloud. It's a David versus Goliath fight in the public cloud industry with a vision of making India self-sufficient in the public cloud.
Hi, I am Megha, CFO E2E Networks. My role goes beyond being financial expert to being a corporate strategist who works towards enhancing company's brand value while ensuring transparency and accountability in all our operations. I am excited about the opportunities available to us while we work towards building a great cloud computing platform and create value for all our stakeholders.
So I think the journey remains smooth from the point you migrate from a leading service provider to E2E, and at the same time you kind of explore a lot of say commercial benefits. So just for a sake of say the audience, I'll just kind of share my screen to give the exact perspective. So a couple of pointers while I have mentioned all of them, but just for your record. So these are the clear benefits that, say for example, for our GPU compute hardware, I think we predominantly feel that we could not have sustained using GPU on any other leading cloud provider had not we been kind of resorted to E2E, to be very frank, because the time when we got into, we were still bootstrapped, we were kind of managing on our own cash flows and so on and so forth. So every penny counted. So that's where the major reprieve came. And then, as I said, that the key question comes: the serviceability, how the support is, the downtimes are well notified in advance, so that we can also propagate that to our end customers that okay, there will be a downtime, or so there is no kind of hassles around the support, and you also have a dedicated account manager. So any queries, any techno-functional queries, any upcoming features that you want to highlight, I think you have a direct access. And even before, as I said, before we actually subscribed, we really got a good kind of FaceTime and a dedicated time from account manager to clarify. So that in a nutshell, I'll say that that kind of removes any confusion when things come really very economical. There are a lot of doubt that comes in anyone's mind. So we have kind of waded through that doubt that yes, it's not just mere price reduction on account of any lack of services, but it's really a very economical cloud option that we can resort, still upkeeping the kind of an service that you want to avail. So that was something I wanted to share with you all, and I'll definitely encourage you to explore depending on what there could be different type of usage as an AI enabled company that you would have, but I think you will get a lot of permutation and combinations, and you definitely will kind of relish the migration. So that was from my end. Thanks.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Neha Baid, Company Secretary and Compliance Officer of your company, welcome you all to the 13th AGM of your company. I hope all of you and your families are doing great. This meeting is being conducted through VC in accordance with the requirement of Companies Act, SEBI regulations and circulars issued by MCA and SEBI. The proceedings of this meeting is being recorded for compliance purposes. The company has made all efforts visible during the current circumstance to enable the shareholders to join us today through VC. The requisite quorum for this meeting is present. Amongst the board members, today we have with us Mr. Tarun Dua, Chairman and Managing Director of the company, Ms. Srishti Baweja, Whole-time Director of the company, joining us from Noida, Mr. Gaurav Munjal, Independent Director of the company, and also the Chairman for Audit Committee, Nomination and Remuneration Committee, and Stakeholders Committee, joining us from Gurgaon. We also have with us our independent directors, Mr. Naman Sarvagi, joining us from Surat, Mr. Varun Pratap Rajda, joining us from Mumbai, Mr. Aditya Bhushan, joining us from Faridabad. Also, we have today with us our CFO, Ms. Megha Raheja, joining us from Delhi. I would also like to inform the members that the representatives of the statutory auditors, MSGSA and Associates LLP, and the representative of our secretarial auditors, MS Max and Company, are also present in this meeting. The certificate from secretarial auditors on compliance with SEBI share-based employee benefit and set to equity regulations 2021 and the registers of director and KMP and their shareholding, along with other statutory registers, are available for inspection by members on the website of the company. The members can inspect them by clicking on inspection link available on their dashboard. Now I would like to take you through certain points regarding the participation in this meeting. So all the members who have joined us are by default placed on the mute mode to avoid any disturbance. All the shareholders who have registered as a speaker shareholder will be given a chance to speak in the Q&A session. So they can unmute themselves once their name will be announced by the moderator. The members are further being informed that those who have not registered can send their queries through the chat box available to them, and the company will intend to answer them suitably. The members are also being informed that remote e-voting was made available to all the shareholders. It was opened on August 21, 2022 at 5 p.m. IST and closed on Tuesday, August 23, 2022 at 5 p.m. So all the shareholders who are attending this meeting today and who have not voted earlier through remote e-voting can also cast their vote during this AGM. The voting is already open and will close after 15 minutes of the conclusion of the meeting. So I hope the process is clear to all the members. Any members facing any issue can send their queries to the helpline numbers coming in the AGM notice of the company. Now I'll request our chairman, Mr. Tarun Dua, to address the shareholders. Thank you, everyone.
Hi everyone, welcome to the 13th AGM of the company. I would like to thank all of you on behalf of E2E Networks Board of Directors for taking out time from your very busy schedules to attend our AGM. As you are aware, the cloud industry globally, including infrastructure as a service, has continued to grow in the last couple of years at a phenomenal growth rate of 30% plus. And we kind of like intend to avail ourselves of this opportunity to grow along with the rest of the industry. So we have created very strong relationships with our suppliers. That has ensured during the past 2 years of pandemic and global wars and shipping crisis that our IT hardware acquisition continues to be done at competitive prices and is not impacted due to the supply chain issues because of wars or pandemic. So E2E Networks, your company, has been an early mover into accelerated cloud computing in India, and we intend to continue to leverage our advantages over there. E2E Cloud today is a trusted partner for thousands of our customers. Last year has been an year of exceptional growth for us. We've seen almost 47% revenue growth year on year basis with very robust cash flows. Our cash flow from operations stood at over 25 crores as on March 22. Our team has been a pillar of strength for our company through good times and bad. We continue to invest in the growth of our team members and rewarding them through stock-based compensation schemes, and also the growth in size of the team as we try to capitalize on the very large size market that we are pursuing. We continue to see large opportunities in cloud computing for developers and data scientists, the users of general and accelerated computing. And our team continues its focus on continuously innovating to improve the developer experience and experience of the data scientists who are using the cloud computing platform at E2E Cloud. Let us have a very quick walk through our presentation. So I'll just share the presentation with everyone. I hope everyone is able to see the presentation. So once again, welcome you all to the 13th annual general meeting. So obviously, some of the things in our presentation are forward-looking and basically like there's a general disclaimer not to kind of like take our expectations in the presentation as expectations of so like basically the safe harbor provisions. Okay, so let's look at what we do. So we have a self-service control panel that allows our customers to access their billing and self-service details of the compute services they want to launch. So this is available at myaccount.e2enetworks.com. So essentially that makes for a very transparent way of transacting with our company by the customers. So they know what they are paying for, and they themselves are launching the machines or any cloud computing services. So there is no scope for any manual error when like customer is using a self-service control panel. Manual error on the part of E2E networks, obviously. Now, as a early mover into accelerated cloud computing platform, we were one of the first. In fact, we were the first Indian company to partner with NVIDIA to build our cloud computing platform, and we are obviously listed on NVIDIA's website as a cloud partner. Now, so like we have been in this business for like past 12-13 years now, and we have built a very experienced team which has the experience of running infrastructure for some of the largest companies in India. So then like we have always focused on the Indian market, where we have felt that like the Indian customer is very, very value centric. So we have always maintained like very high amount of value for the price we are charging for our services. So today we are not the cheapest. Uh, we are obviously not the most expensive. There are like a lot more expensive cloud computing platforms out there in the market. Uh, but we do claim that we have like a very one of the best price performance ratios in the cloud industry in India. So over the past 12, 13 years, like we have served more than 15,000 plus customers. Uh, as of current quarter, like we have more than 2,000, 2,200 plus active customers who are using our platform. And our origin story is like we were the one of the first companies in India to envision and bring about like contractless computing in India even before the term cloud computing was popular. So let us walk through some of the business highlights. So like this is like a incomplete list of some of the services we provide. So we are very focused on general compute that we provide to our customers. So we provide cloud GPUs, we provide Windows Cloud, we provide CDN services, which is uh, basically content delivery network services. So we provide like different kinds of storage. So we provide object storage, we provide block storage, we provide storage for backups. So and the storage products are available at both our locations today, both in Mumbai as well as in Noida. Noida being our primary location in Delhi NCR. So I mentioned that like the customers primarily use the myaccount.e2enetworks.com control panel to launch their services. The developers and data scientists who know how to run their own code or who know how to utilize our APIs. So we have also published our APIs and sample code on our website with the developer documentation to allow them to launch the services. All the services that can be launched via control panel can also be launched via the APIs. So, in the recent past, we have built support for databases like MySQL, MariaDB on our database as a service platform. So, then of course, like we support container infrastructure like Kubernetes. So, almost all the services that we have are now available in both our locations today. And we also provide network isolation using virtual private cloud. So that is VPC. That is also one of the chargeable services that we provide to our customers. So let us talk about the use cases for which our customers are using E2E network services. So, as I already mentioned that we were one of the first cloud computing players to have launched the cloud GPUs in India amongst the Indian companies, excluding, of course, the hyperscalers and the MNCs. So, the major use cases that we have seen for our cloud GPUs are in the field of machine learning. So, machine learning denotes like any kind of way to make the machine learn about any of the tasks that humans were doing in the past. Then computer vision is another area, computer vision and video analytics. So that is another area where usually people are trying to process like video inputs. So any kind of video input. So for example, like somebody is running computer vision on a factory floor. Somebody could be running computer vision in agriculture, trying to determine like what is the status of the agricultural produce, whether it is good or raw or like edible, inedible, whether it can be shipped or not. Then examples of deep learning applications using natural language processing. We have seen those applications in many places. So kind of like combined with the OCR, they can be used to process the text in the form of forms, in the form of voice to text interfaces. They can be used to generate like email responses for what people are talking about on phone. So it is used in some customer interactions, customer support. So anywhere where kind of like any kind of unstructured language-based communication is there, there is a role for deep learning for natural language processing to be used over there. Now, object recognition, of course, is a part of computer vision where you are able to label objects. So for example, like many times you would have seen that when you're trying to access a website page, it suddenly brings up a CAPTCHA. So where they ask you like, what is a boat, what is a light. So that's an example of object recognition. Now, object recognition obviously has like a lot of uses in the artificial intelligence arena. So that's one of the primary functionalities apart from natural language processing and deep learning that allows the use of that is delivered by accelerated computing. Now, although not massively, but like we have seen some visual computing on a on our accelerated computing platform by people who are running engineering workstations. So examples of that would be like people using like the Maya kind of infrastructure for visual computing or any kind of architecture or engineering design kind of systems. So A40 is used for that typically. So all the other use cases like NLP and computer vision typically requires like highly capable GPUs like A100 on the cloud with 40 GB onboard GPU RAM or 80 GB onboard GPU RAM. And A30 is a slightly smaller GPU, which typically gets used for more for inference than for training. So recently we taking in the feedback from our customers. So we developed a new form of virtual machines. Now, of course, we are not the only one in the market who has done that. So these virtual machines have quick service recovery, even in case of hardware failure. So essentially, that allows for like very little downtime when you use the new series machines for running your infrastructure. Of course, if the machines are overloaded because of compute, they would go down. But due to other reasons like failure of the hardware, like which is the typical reason for failure of compute when the architecture is not resilient at the application side. So even if the application architecture is not resilient, like C3 and M3 series, uh, they have the ability to be quickly recovered in case of a hardware failure. Now, one of the things that we got in our customer feedback was that like it takes a lot of time to take snapshots of the machines, creating the images of the machines. So we have introduced like live imaging technology in the new machines that we have launched. So then VPC support, although it has been introduced quite a while back, but now it supports almost all the compute artifacts on our cloud platform. So they can all run behind the VPC, which is a isolated uh, private network for connecting the customer resources in a virtual network. So with we have like Fortinet is one of our vendors, so they used to provide only physical firewalls in an earlier era. So they have also started providing their firewall in the form of an appliance. So using that software appliance provided by Fortinet, we have launched our cloud firewall service. So the advantage of a cloud firewall over a physical firewall is that, of course, one is that it doesn't go down because the same quick service recovery technology that we are using for our C3 M3 machines is also powering the cloud firewall and our database as a service. So essentially, that allows for a very quick creation of a new uh, private network within the compute infrastructure for a customer, and that allows like a full-scale creation of any kind of software as a service platform that a customer might be developing for their customers to be, or an e-commerce application or any kind of like application that used to run on like a in-house corporate network. So all of that stuff can now be done because of like the C3 M3 virtual machines being available and cloud firewalls being available on our platform, and database as a service being available on our platform. Now, on the storage, we have our team has done like a tremendous job in terms of building high performance storage. Now, mostly our storage in terms of performance kind of like is really head and shoulders above the competition. So typically, whatever the competition is providing, our storage provides almost 2x or 3x of the performance for similar kind of pricing. Okay, so let's talk about some of the business side of things. We have, of course, already spoken about the accelerated computing workloads that we are supporting. Now, apart from that, the general compute market itself globally has been growing, even with a very large base of almost $500 billion today. That, of course, includes like infrastructure as a service, software as a service, software managed services on top of infrastructure and so on. But still, it's huge. Just the infrastructure as a service market itself is really huge. And India, which is our main focus country as of today, there also infrastructure as a service, even on a very large base of almost like $7.5 billion, like it is expected to grow at nearly like 40%. Now, we of course have continued to build our capabilities, product capabilities, to target the Indian customer. And in fact, like our software obviously can support like any SME globally. Uh, then, of course, like some of the so the opportunity comes from having a very large addressable market within India itself, and the new accelerated computing trend to capitalize on artificial intelligence and machine learning and NLP. So that's the second opportunity. And third is there has been like a huge digital transformation movement because of the pandemic era, where infrastructure in corporate offices in a small server room, data center room was kind of what you call inaccessible for short periods of time. And also a lot of end users figured out like they really want to maintain physical servers. So there has been like a massive movement towards the cloud. So that this entirely presents a lot of opportunity for your company to grow into. So let us talk about some of the financial highlights of the last year. So, like we obviously increased revenue from our existing customers, as well as we have onboarded new customers. So, our cash flow from operations has been in excess of 25 crores, as I already mentioned. All the other metrics are also up. So, profit after tax total of like 6.5 crores. Uh, Profit after tax margin of like almost 12.5%, earnings per share of 4.46 rupees per share. Then EBITDA margin is up by almost 15%. And EBITDA itself is up by almost 123% compared to last year. Revenue has gone up by 47%. So the other strategic overview over here is that obviously from the older days, like where very large customers used to be, highly concentrated part of our revenue. Like we have significantly reduced that. Like I think no customer is more than 5-6% today. No single customer. Then we have consistently added more inventory throughout like last couple of quarters with a view to encourage the salespeople to reach out to more customers and do more proof of concepts, more trials. So that creates a virtuous cycle of like the inventory being there, being converted to revenue faster, and essentially also gives the comfort to the existing customers that there are a lot of cloud resources available for them to expand on demand whenever they want to. So we have focused on building inventory and planning ahead. So we have built our software from the scratch, like since last many years, and that gives us a competitive edge compared to providers, smaller providers than us, who need to pay on a per core or a per GB of RAM basis to their software providers. So our sales team has really focused on expanding the customer base, and like with the expanded customer base, like we have created a larger scale of operations. So with larger scale of operations, like we have been able to obviously reduce the unit cost because the hardware we are acquiring is at scale. The all the services we are buying from our backend vendors are at a higher scale. So the cost obviously kind of like defrays over a much larger customer base. And so our development team and technology team has consistently worked towards adding new products and services as are where we have the visibility that the customers require those. And of course, like we have really focused on working with the mid-segment customers compared to like going after very large enterprise accounts with a significantly with a view to have the kind of customers who uh, are not really kind of like becoming like very huge part of our revenue. So yeah, so that's been probably like a good strategy for us to focus on increasing the number of customers than going after very large customers, where the revenue from a single customer is very large proportion of our revenue. So with that, I would like to once again thank all of you. And with regard to any questions or queries that you may have about this presentation, you can, of course, like we will address some of the queries over here today, but later on you can also write to us on investors@e2enetworks.com. So yeah. So again, we hope that our board members, our shareholders, and all our stakeholders will continue to, and our ecosystem partners will continue to trust us, and we hope that we grow and succeed together with all the stakeholders. So now I would like to start the proceedings of the meeting. So everyone, the notice dated July 25th, 2022, convening this AGM and a copy of the annual report for the financial year ended March 31st, 2022, has already been circulated to the members of the company electronically. With your permission, I would like to take them as read. the auditor's report on financial statements and secretarial audit report of the company for the financial year ended on March 31st, 2022 does not contain any qualifications, reservations, or adverse remarks, and therefore these reports are not required to be read out at this meeting. We will now briefly talk about the resolutions proposed to be passed at this meeting. The first item relates to the approval of audited financial statements of the company for financial year ended March 31st, 2022, together with the report of the Board of Directors and the auditors. Now, since I am considered as interested in subsequent items to be considered at this AGM, I would like to vacate the chair and request Mr. Gaurav Munjal, our independent director, of the company to take the chair. Gaurav, over to you.
Thanks, Tarun. A very good afternoon to you all. Since Tarun is considered interested in some of the resolutions, I would be proposing them to the board, primarily related to appointments and remunerations of the board members. So the second item relates to the appointment of Mr. Tarun Dua, who retires by rotation and being eligible, offers himself for reappointment. The third item relates to appointment of Messrs. GSA and Associates LLP as statutory auditors and to fix their remuneration to fill the causal vacancy for a period of 5 years. The fourth item relates to appointment of Mr. Aditya Bhushan as non-executive independent director of the company. The fifth item relates to reappointment of Mr. Tarun Dua, managing director of the company, and remuneration payable to him for the period January 31, 2023 till January 30, 2026. The sixth and the last item is related to reappointment of Mrs. Srishti Baveja, whole-time director of the company, and remuneration payable to her for the period from January 31, 2023 till January 30, 2026. So the board recommends above resolutions for approval by members. It is in interest of the company and its stakeholders to secure the continuity and stability of the current leadership. I would now like to vacate the chair and request Tarun to take the chair again. Tarun, over to you, please.
Thanks, Gaurav. So now I would request the moderator to allow the speaker shareholders to present their views and ask their questions. So we would like to address the shareholder queries in the batches of 5 or so. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we will begin the question and answer session.
Sure.
So we have the first question from Mr. Krishna Vishwanath. Mr. Krishna, sir, please go ahead, sir.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. Hi, Tarun and the team at E2E. Congratulations on some good performance in the last few quarters. And you mentioned about improving margins and cash flow. It is very well appreciated as a shareholder. You also mentioned about the size of the opportunity in the cloud space, the infrastructure space. And for a company, we are now about 13 years old, and we are at about 65 odd crores of annual revenue in a market which is about 7.5 billion or 50 billion or some really massive numbers. So I congratulate the management on positioning E2E and creating a suite of offering and products which are very relevant and very timely. I would want to understand from the management what are the plans going ahead in terms of grabbing a very large share, a disproportionately large share of this particular market. While we continue, we grow at 45%, the size of the opportunity is enormous. What is it that the board the management is doing to accelerate that even further, so that E2E emerges as one of a very large relevant player in this space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krishna sir. So we have the next question from Mr. Santanu Singh. Mr. Santanu sir, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I'll request the shareholders to switch on their video as well.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Tarunji, for detailed overview of the organization. Being a shareholder as a customer also, it give me immense pleasure to see the excellent work done by the team. I really appreciate and really love that, And one of the things which I really like is the agility of delivering the products and all. It's really amazing the way you guys are able to deliver products so fast. I want to understand, because as a somebody who is using the services also, what you guys are planning to do related to containers. That's something because there's a great opportunity I see out there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Santanu sir. So we have the next question from Mr. Pitwat Kaur. Sir, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hi. Tarun, I guess this is Harveer. I actually just had a question related to our margins and operating leverage. Broadly, now we are at sales of about 50 crores, right? The year before we were at 35. There was a time when we were again at 35 when Jabong was the largest customer that we had, and we had huge customer concentrations. Incidentally, at that point in time, I'm talking about when Jabong was there, our operating margins were pretty high at around 50%. We have not achieved that mark even at 50 crores of revenue. So my broad questions are, Tarun, where do you see, how do you see our margins sort of unfolding as we grow? Where do you see them going up to? Where do you see them starting to plateau in this next wave of growth? Would the margins start to stagnate when we double from here? Just want some sort of an idea, no forward-looking statement. I just want some sense on margins. Secondly, wanted to understand that broadly, look, how I look at it is that, we are an equipment rental business, right? We go out, we do some CapEx, buy servers, and we sort of sublease them out. Most equipment rental businesses, how I see them, is really make a lot of money because of this. Their useful life is actually a lot more than what one sort of depreciates them at. And in our case, unfortunately, because it's technology and it's servers, I think the depreciation is very real. So I was just wondering if you had some thought on that. Yeah, how do you see this business changing? Are we constantly going to be on this treadmill and constantly going to do such capex every year? How do you see the capital intensity in this business changing as we gain scale? So these two broad questions.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have the next question from Mr. Nikhil Jain. Mr. Nikhil, sir, please go ahead, sir.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Yeah,
Sir, you are audible.
I congratulate E2E team for the performance made during the year and making company turnaround during last year. Then second thing, this is the AGM is the platform where shareholder can interact with the management. So as in chairman spoke about this in 30% plus growth in the industry, but when we see E2E 4 years back, or this thing turnover was 36 CR, and after 4 years also we are standing at 51 CR. So that growth is coming hardly 10 to 12%. So what is the reason that in 4 years also hardly we could achieve only around 30-35% this thing growth which was expected in a single year. Then when I talk about this thing margin, in the year 2018, on turnover of 36 CR, we had profit before tax of 8 CR. Now in the year 2022, after 4 years, we have turnover is increased by 15 CR, that is 51 CR, but PBT is decreased and now it is just 5.2 AR. There is a drastic decrease in the PBT. Then in the investors presentations, it is given that 15,000 served customer. But when we look at the active customer, it's just 2,200. So what is the main reason that more than 85% this thing customers, they have left the company? On that also I will request to focus it. Then next point is during the year there was a revaluation of intangible assets. So what was the requirement of doing the revaluation of intangible assets? Then on dividend policy also, what is the dividend policy of the company when the company is thinking that they will come on the dividend list? Then in the forward looking statement, just I would like that what is the monthly recurring revenue now management is expecting. These are the major distinct area where I would like management to clarify it. Besides that, there is a payment gateway, there is a drastic increase from 38 lakhs last year to 70 lakhs, whereas turnover has not increased in same proportional. Even legal and professional fees also it is increasing compared to last year. So on that two grounds also I would like management to clarify and just would request management then whether we can expect the 30% growth at least from now onwards. That's all. Thanks again for E2E team, and I would like that team will perform even better and will touch the height of sky in the near future. Thanks. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. So we have the next question from Mr. Lokesh Gupta. Mr. Lokesh sir, you are on the panel.
हेलो सर, आप मुझे सुन पा रहे हैं? चेयरमैन सर, मैं लोकेश गुप्ता आपका और सभी बोर्ड मेंबर्स का स्वागत करता हूं। सर, एक्सीलेंट चेयरमैन स्पीच हो रही थी और एक प्रेजेंटेशन, लेकिन सर ये प्रेजेंटेशन 3:30 बजे हमारा लिंक खुला था, उस आधे घंटे का 30 मिनट का हम उपयोग करते तो ये प्रेजेंटेशन और भी अच्छा होता। सर प्रेजेंटेशन अच्छा था लेकिन सर थोड़ा लेंथी जरूर हो गया सर। लेकिन सर आपने कंपनी के बारे में बहुत कुछ बताया, बहुत अच्छा बताया सर। सर हमारे पास जो कॉन्टैक्ट है वो लॉन्ग टर्म्स और शॉर्ट टर्म्स में कितने कॉन्टैक्ट्स हैं सर, और वो किस मार्जिन से हम एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं सर? सर अरे ये इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे हमारी मीटिंग हुई है, क्या हम आगे इसको फिजिकल मीटिंग के रूप में भी देख पाएंगे सर? सर और क्या वर्क जो हमारे जिस तरह के बिजनेस मॉडल हैं उसमें वर्क एट होम का भी एक कल्चर चल रहा है सर, कितना स्टाफ हमारा वर्क एट होम कर रहा है, थोड़ा इस बारे में बताइए सर। सर आप कंपनी सेक्रेटरी ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, हमने उनसे जब भी बात की है उन्होंने हमारी हर प्रॉब्लम सोल्व की है सर। उसका रिवार्ड उन्हें कंपनी सेक्रेटरी को भी मिलना चाहिए, और हम शेयर होल्डर्स को भी जो आपके साथ जुड़े हैं कुछ रिवार्ड्स तो हमें भी मिलना चाहिए सर। और हम इसी तरह आपसे जुड़े रहेंगे, इसके लिए और कंपनी सेक्रेटरी के लिए जिन्होंने हमें इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर जोड़ा, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर।
Thank you so much, Gupta sir. As this was the last question of first batch of speakers, so now I hand over to the chairman sir. Over to you sir.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Thank you for all your questions. So I would like to address the questions one by one. So like the first question was around like what are the plans of the company to go ahead and grab a large share? And there was another question related to, in fact, two questions from two of the speakers related to operating margins. So both these questions are actually related to one another. So in the sense that like why our margins, operating margins are lower is because obviously we are trying to position ourselves to kind of like grab this opportunity. So we are investing a lot of money into R&D and expansion of sales and marketing, and we are also investing into our people. So that is the reason why there is a differential in terms of like the cost structure of 4 years back versus today. So the cost structure has obviously changed, and that cost structure is being used to support our push towards like grabbing the larger sized opportunity. So now there were a few technical questions asked by Shantanu ji. So like the answer to that is like obviously E2E Networks as a technology company is very committed to build and deliver A grade support for containers. So hopefully over next some time we will see the container support to drastically improve inside the My Account Control panel and also being accessible via the APIs. So now there was a question from Harbir ji that essentially we are a equipment rental business. So I would like to kind of like somewhat disagree with that. So we are not really an equipment rental business, but we see ourselves as a technology business. So, as a technology business, what is more important for us is that a customer who has started using our services and is happy with our services, we build more services that the same customer can use. And all of the services that we are building on top of our infrastructure are adding value in terms of software that we are building for our customers. So eventually, of course, over a period of time, we should see the capital intensity of the hardware purchases uh, from a revenue perspective, like going downwards, and the value being added to the customer via software to increase. So now regarding the question that the useful life of hardware and so on. So primarily the investment in our equipment that we are doing is usually for new customers. So the replacement for older customers, like that's not a very huge proportion because typically because of the Moore's law. So whatever equipment used to cost to deliver services to customers 4 years back, the same customers can be serviced with like a much lower volume of equipment in terms of spend on equipment today on the cloud compared to what it was 4 years back. So in that sense, the cost of equipment being utilized to replace the older equipment is a lot lesser in terms of actual computability. So I hope that answers the question. Now we had a question about like more than 85 customers have left the company. So as a technology business, like what happens is typically that like for every one customer who actually needs our services, so there are like at least like another 10 times the amount of customers or 7-8 times the amount of customers who simply want to try our services today. They may come back later. So typically, so in technology sales, like every other sales, it's people selling to people. So people selling to people means that like these 15,000 people, customers could actually be a lot lesser in terms of the actual number of people who are using the services. So, for example, somebody tried the services individually and then later on terminated the services. Maybe 6 months later, 9 months later, he came back through his company to use the services today. So maybe somebody had a project today. Maybe somebody's company got acquired. So basically that generates a new CRN. So there are a lot of reasons why customers leave from the platform. And that is not usually a result of kind of like having gotten bad services as such. So like we keep analyzing like why a customer is going, and typically most usually the answer for that is like matlab the customer came in to try out the services, and other than that of course like there can be instances where there is a actual lack of product market fit, in which case obviously the feedback is passed on to our technology team, and they figure out from a product management perspective whether this can actually add to a significant additional revenue if we build a particular feature that this particular customer who left was demanding. So that we keep collecting that data and then kind of like utilize that to build our features going forward. Now, there was a question about revaluation of intangible assets. So what I will do is I'll leave that question for our CFO to answer. So we don't have a policy of commenting on forward-looking monthly recurring revenue, but obviously our goal is to, that's one of the key business metrics for our sales team, to focus on the monthly recurring revenue. And obviously that is something that we want to, that we focus on even more than the actual revenue numbers, because that's what is going to result in like a higher revenue in the next 12 months. Now, whether that falls on the financial year boundary or not is not super concerning to the sales team. So obviously they are trying to collect as much, increase the MRR by as much as we can. Now, there has been a question about payment gateway costs has increased. The reason for increase is obviously that like we are targeting mid-segment customers who are very, very comfortable paying online, compared to the older enterprise customers who were very comfortable NEFTing or RTGSing the amounts. Now, a question about legal and professional fees, and there was also a related question about work from home. So they're connected in the sense that I think everyone is aware that like all wages throughout the country are going up, and which is a good thing because that obviously propels our economy towards the middle income and then eventually towards a higher income country. And that is obviously one of the reasons why any people connected costs are going up for the company. And then there is a question that can we expect 30% growth from now onwards? So the answer to that question is still like that we are still a small company and we are trying to kind of like build internal systems where we are able to predictably grow. But even today, like our growth can be dependent on like a few rock stars in the sales team who could be performing like very high in one particular month, and another particular month like the signups in terms of revenue could be less. So there is still overall unpredictability that eventually should go down as we grow in size in terms of number of people as well as in terms of revenue as well as in terms of number of customers. Like there would be eventually flattening of the quarter on quarter growth in terms of flattening, or as in like smoothing of the graph of growth, not flattening. Obviously we don't want it to flatten. So then we would have much more predictability in terms of being able to predict and make forward-looking statements on like what do we expect like quarter-on-quarter growth. But today, as a small company, we are still not there in terms of being able to predict like what growth can we expect in the next quarter. Obviously, as a company, we are very fully focused on building products and features that can give us additional monthly recurring revenue by giving a better fit with the customers. And obviously, the sales team is very focused on kind of like increasing the MRR. And obviously, their incentive structures and everything is aligned towards increasing the MRR of the company. Now, there was feedback that the presentation was lengthy. We would work on that, sir. Regarding work from home, how much staff today is working from home? Like practically less than 5% of the staff today is working from home at E2E. And mostly all the offices are open, and we are no longer in pandemic mode in terms of the work from home. Now, over to Megha, our CFO, to answer the question on revaluation of intangible assets.
Hello everyone. So as regards to intangible assets, we have revised the value of Internet Protocol IP addresses. So IP addresses are numerical addresses used to identify a particular piece of business. So as we have adopted Ind AS, as per Ind AS provision, there was an option for us to revalue that asset at fair value. So these assets have been accounted for at fair value. I hope this has been clarified.
Shikha, can we have more questions, please?
Yes, ma'am. So now I would like to invest our next batch of speaker shareholders. So we have the next question from Mr. Sarjit Singh. Mr. Sarjit, sir, you are on the panel, sir.
Hello. Hello, Chairman sir. Can you hear my voice? Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Chairman sir, first of all, good evening to you, all the board of directors and all the staff of E2E Network Limited. Chairman sir, अभी आप लोग SME से मेन बोर्ड में आए हैं, इसके लिए सर हम आपको मुबारकबाद देते हैं। और सर जिस तरीके से आप लोग मेहनत कर रहे हैं, वो सर आपकी शुरुआती स्पीच में जो आपने वीडियो चलाकर पूरी बताई, वो सर हमें देख के बहुत अच्छा लगा कि एक जागरूकता के साथ आपने सारे के सारे शेयर होल्डर को बताया कि ये है हमारे काम और ऐसे ऐसे हम आपके लिए मेहनत कर रहे हैं और इसी तरीके सर हम लोगों को अच्छा रिटर्न मिलता आ रहा है। तकरीबन सर अगर आपकी परफॉर्मेंस के ऊपर देखा जाए तो सर आपने 1000% का रिटर्न पिछले 1 साल में दिया है और 1.5 साल में तकरीबन शेयर का रेट 1500% ऊपर दिया आपने। बाकी चेयरमैन सर हम आपसे जुड़ पाए इस माध्यम पे भी सर ये आपके सेक्टरल डिपार्टमेंट की पूरी मेहनत का नतीजा है, जो मैडम की टीम और मैडम ने मेहनत करके हमें आपके सामने इतनी फ्रीक्वेंटली बोलने का मौका दिया है। और सर थोड़ा ये कहना चाहूंगा सर, जिस तरीके से इस टाइम हमारी प्रमोटर होल्डिंग अराउंड 58% के लगभग है, 59.71% है, तो सर क्या अभी तो थोड़ा टाइम बाद क्या कोई बायबैक या कोई नई चीज या फिर फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर हमारी कंपनी में बढ़ जाए या फॉरेन की इन्वेस्टमेंट ज्यादा आए, इस बारे में सर आप थोड़ा सा बताइएगा। बाकी चेयरमैन सर हर एक शेयर होल्डर की आपसे साल में सिर्फ एक ही बार मुलाकात हो पाती है, तो सर एक तो मैं यही चाहूंगा कि सर अगले आने वाले साल में सर आप अगर हो सके कोरोना टले तो सर एक फिजिकल मीटिंग में रूप में सर सामने हम आपसे मिलना चाहेंगे। बाकी सर हर एक शेयर होल्डर आपसे यही चाहता है कि उसको रिवार्ड जरूर मिले और उसको रिटर्न जरूर मिले। रिटर्न तो सर आप दे रहे हैं सर, बाकी सेक्टरल डिपार्टमेंट और पूरी की पूरी सेक्रेटरी मैडम से अगर आपकी बात हो तो सर शेयर होल्डर का भी कुछ ध्यान रखा जाए। थैंक यू चेयरमैन सर।
Thank you so much, Singh sir. So we have the next speaker, Mr. Manjeet Singh. Mr. Manjeet sir, please ask your question, sir.
My audible?
Yes sir.
My audible sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
E2E की मैनेजमेंट, डायरेक्टर, सेक्रेटरियल डिपार्टमेंट और माय को शेयर होल्डर सभी का मैं स्वागत करता हूं और गुड इवनिंग, और भगवान के आगे प्रार्थना करता हूं कि सभी स्वस्थ रहे। अगस्त 2009 के अंदर जिस तरह से इस कंपनी की शुरुआत हुई और आज 2022 तक आते आते आप फर्स्ट कंपनी इंडिया की हैं जो इस लेवल में है, मतलब इस सेक्टर में है। इसकी मैं चेयरमैन सर को मुबारकबाद देता हूं। ये जो हमारा प्रधानमंत्री जी का विजन है वोकल फॉर लोकल, उस पर ये बिल्कुल खरा उतर रहा है कि जो ये हिंदुस्तान से निर्माण हुआ है इस कंपनी का, ये बहुत एक अच्छी बात है। मई 2018 में आपने एसएमई से अपना 2000 शेयर का लॉट का किया और उसके बाद आप मेन बोर्ड में आए और प्रमोटर होल्डिंग करीब करीब हमारी 60% है। तो ऐसा कुछ बायबैक आ सकता है। हमारे आपने कस्टमर दिखाए हैं, जैसे ऑनलाइन वाले जितने हैं करीब करीब आपके पास हैं, जोमेटो, कार देखो और कार्स 24, हेल्थ कैंप और भी कई कंपनियां आपने दिखाई हैं। तो ये ऑनलाइन का जो प्लेटफॉर्म बढ़ रहा है तो उससे हमारे बिजनेस को और ऊंचाइयां मिलेंगी क्या? 24 मंथ के आगे के प्लान क्या है हमारे, फ्यूचर प्लान, रोड मैप आप इस बारे में बताइएगा तो अच्छा लगेगा। एक क्वेश्चन सर ये मैं पूछना चाहूंगा कि जो हमारी इनकम है उसका आगे के लिए, फ्यूचर के लिए हम R&D पर, उसके जो इनकम है उसमें से R&D के ऊपर, रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट पे कितना खर्चा करते हैं आप इस बारे में बताइएगा। कैटेगरी डिपार्टमेंट और हमारे जो लिंक इन टाइम ने जो मेहनत करी है उससे हम आपसे मॉडरेटर के जरिए और कैटेगरी डिपार्टमेंट की वजह से हम आपसे जुड़ पाए हैं। रिटर्न आपके अच्छे हैं, फ्यूचर भी हम चाहेंगे कि कंपनी का अच्छा ही हो। थैंक यू फॉर E2E नेटवर्क मैनेजमेंट एंड कैटेगरी टीम।
Thank you, Mr. Chanda, sir. So we have the next speaker, Mr. Ankur Chanda, sir. Mr. Ankur, sir, please go ahead, sir.
Hello, I am audible. Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. गुड आफ्टरनून सर। मैं बस यही कहना चाहूँगा कि कंपनी परफॉर्मेंस तो अच्छी है, बहुत बढ़िया है, ठीक है। तो हम जो हमारी टीम है वो बहुत बढ़िया वर्क कर रही है और मैं बस आगे भी यही उम्मीद करते हैं कि ऐसे ही अच्छा वर्क करेंगे। लेकिन थोड़ा सा मैम सर, अपना जो सेक्रेटेरियल में और हमारे में कम्युनिकेशन गैप है, बस वो गैप थोड़ा कम करवा दीजिए, बाकी कुछ नहीं है सर। बाकी तो परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी है और आप मेहनत भी बहुत कर रहे हैं, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Ankur, sir. So now I invite our next speaker shareholder, Mr. Praveen Kumar. Mr. Praveen, sir, please go ahead, sir.
Hello, I am audible, sir. Hello, I am audible. Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
A very good evening to respected chairman, well-decorated esteemed board of director, and my co-fellow shareholder who joined this meeting online. So myself, Praveen Kumar, planning this meeting from India. I have few observation about the today's agenda, which I love to share with the comments. Sir, first of all, I love to thank you for your 70 mm broader vision. We have excellent presentation, then in-depth speech, and the theories which our earlier speaker had, you beautifully answered them. So you cover all of my theories in between. So I think it's a great company to be in. As far as my investment is concerned, the future is, when we say skies is the limit, but we are into the sky. So I'm very blessed that the client we have and as you said about leaving some clients, so it's a trial and tested method. And I hope with your dedications and your vision, they certainly come back to us. I hope so. And I supported all the resolution which you set up for the notice today. इसमें आपका भी agenda है, so with flying color, I sent that also. And as far as the, for a retail investor like us, the barometer of a company, sir, also decided by the corporate governance. In this regard, I love to thank our KMP, both the KMP, our CS. C is very, very proactive in that aspect. She, in the morning, she called us and, update us on the meeting aspect of it, when to join it, and I represent the 25 people also. And during those times, when we have any queries, so it will be promptly solved. And I got the opportunity to talk to our CS. So the only request which I love to make on this platform is, sir, provide some oxygen to her also, because she is the face of the company for us. Each and every retail investor, it is not possible to talk to you or meet you, so that at least if you have anything to, if you want to take a call, so she has the authority and persona. She has the authority and the persona to, take call on that, and we, the retail investor, the minority shareholder, will be very, very happy for that. And as far as the COVID is really behind us, I'm very, very glad if we have physical meeting today, so that it is our opportunity to interact with the management. So it will be a bonding for a lifetime. So, but I hope from next year onward, make sure that we will have some physical meeting, so that at least we can interact with the entire management on one-to-one basis. That will be a wonderful idea. And if after the AGM, if I got the opportunity to visit our corporate office, so it is very, very well.
Shikha, can you please take
Brighter
over?
future, for the brighter future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, respected chairman.
Thank you so much, Praveen sir. So our next speaker is Mr. Gagan Kumar. Mr. Gagan sir, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, and fellow shareholders. Myself, Gagan Kumar. My DP ID is 300206 110444542. I'm joining this meeting from Delhi. Chairman sir, 57 रुपीस पे हमारी कंपनी का आईपीओ आया, 2000 शेयर का लॉट, और आज एजीएम की मुबारकबाद आपको दे रहा है अपना 52 वीक हाई लगा के 213 रुपीस पे ट्रेड हुआ हमारा शेयर आज, जो कि 52 वीक हाई है हमारे लिए। इसके लिए आप और आपकी पूरी टीम को बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद। मेरे काफी क्वेश्चन जो हैं ऑलरेडी स्पीकर्स के द्वारा कवर किए जा चुके हैं, तो मैं उन्हें रिपीट नहीं करना चाहूंगा। सिर्फ एक चीज पूछना चाहूंगा सर कि हम कब तक अपने आप को डिविडेंड पेइंग लिस्ट में देखते हैं, कि हम कब हम लोगों को डिविडेंड आपसे मिलेगा। And last but not the least, I would like to thank our CS and his entire team for making such a high standard of corporate governance. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gagan sir. As this was the last question of second batch of speaker shareholders, so I will now hand over to the chairman, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, all of you, for your questions. I think I missed this question earlier of dividends and buybacks. So, our thought process over there as of today, given the current environment and the size of opportunity in front of us, is that the capital allocation would be better served by not doing dividends or buybacks at as of this moment. Of course, we say never say never. So future, so we cannot predict कि future में whether we will do a buyback or whether we will do dividends. So, but abhi it seems like that we should invest a lot more into market penetration. We should invest a lot more into doing better physical marketing in terms of events, do better reach out, hire more salespeople, hire more developers. So that's the thought process today. I'm also trying to answer the question that was asked in the earlier batch, ki, bhai, how are you planning to grow? So that's the broad strategy to keep investing into the expansion by focusing behind better product market fit, by investing more into development, by having more sales and marketing firepower. So that's the broad strategy behind capital allocation. So with that, there was. So there is a question. There is a question about physical meeting. So I guess that decision would happen organically in the next year itself. मतलब what makes sense at that point of time. तो तभी decide कर लेंगे. And obviously would be communicated in good time to all the members of the company. So with that, I would like to make the closing remarks. So the company has provided remote e-voting facility to all the members to e-vote on the agenda items. So we would like to request any members who have not yet exercised their vote may click on the voting button, cast your vote, which is appearing in the right hand side of your VC meeting screen, and vote. And the e-voting facility shall remain open for next 15 minutes to enable those of the members who have not yet casted their vote and would like to cast their vote. The results would be announced within 48 hours of the conclusion of the meeting, and the same would be intimated to the stock exchange and uploaded on the website of the company and our RTA link in time. Now, with the consent of all the members and the board members, would like to leave the meeting, and we wish all the shareholders a very healthy and safe future. And we request all of you to take care of yourself and your families.
Neha, I think we have some more questions in the chat box. Can you just check them out, please?
Yes, ma'am. Sister ma'am, yes. So there are two more investors are available with us.
Okay.
So should I invite them?
Sure, go ahead, Neha.
And wait a minute, Siksha. I'll just read out a question that we have received from one of our investors through chat box. So I'll just say that, and then you can invite the shareholders also, and then sir can address all of them. So Mr. Nikhil Chandak has sent us few questions on our chat box. Firstly, the cloud space is also very competitive. Does the company need to tie up with any foreign partner for better technology? What does the company plan? Does the company have any plan to list on BSE? What is your revenue target in next 3 to 5 years? And another question is, the company revenues are still very small versus the market size. Can't the company grow faster? When will software revenues come in? As of now, company is too dependent only on the infrastructure part. Revenue per customer is too tiny. How can this grow? Shikha, now you can invite the remaining two shareholders also, and then we can answer at a go.
Okay, ma'am. So we have the next question from Mr. Rakesh Kumar. Mr. Rakesh, sir, please go ahead, sir.
Hello, audible, sir? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Audible, sir? हेलो
हाँ जी सर, ऑडिबल है, बताइए.
हाँ, चेयरमैन सर, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, हेलो, मेरी आवाज आ रही है सर?
आ रही है सर.
हाँ, चेयरमैन सर, बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स एंड को शेयर होल्डर एंड कंपनी सेक्रेटरी। सर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, तो आपने मुझे इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर जुड़ने का मौका दिया। सर सारे क्वेश्चन रेस हो चुके हैं, काफी शेयर होल्डर्स ने जो पूछना था पूछ लिया, और आपने भी अपनी स्पीच और जो आपने कर हमें सब कुछ दिखाया है, सब कुछ हमें पता चला कि कंपनी क्या करना चाहती है और कैसे होगा, और आपने जैसे जैसे शेयर होल्डर्स का जवाब दिया है, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। मैं यही चाहूंगा सर कि आप एक बार अगली बार जो मीटिंग हो, फिजिकल मीटिंग हो। सर थैंक यू।
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh, sir. So the next question we have from Surinder Kumar. Mr. Surinder, sir, please go ahead, sir.
नमस्कार चेयरमैन साहब। सर थैंक यू वेरी मच। आपकी जो स्पीच, आपका जो प्रेजेंटेशन था सर, लोगों ने कहा लेंथी था, पर इट वाज वेरी वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव सर। उसके लिए आपको बधाई के पात्र है सर। दूसरा सर, जैसे सर काफ़ी क्वेश्चंस लोगों ने जो पूछे, अपने शेयर होल्डर ने, भाइयों ने पूछे हैं, उससे काफ़ी चीज़ें क्लियर हो चुकी हैं। आने वाला टाइम बहुत ही अच्छा लग रहा है सर इस कंपनी के लिए। मैं सर ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि जो अपनी जो मार्केट शेयर है सर, वो कितना है, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताएं। बाकी सर, कंपनी सेक्रेटरी डिपार्टमेंट ने जो हमको आपसे जुड़ने के लिए जो लिंक टाइम ने जो सपोर्ट किया, कंपनी सेक्रेटरी डिपार्टमेंट ने शिरकत किया, उसके सर धन्यवाद। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
Thank you so much, Surinder, sir. As this was the last question, so now I will hand over to the chairman, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, so to answer your question, Surinder ji, and then I'll address the questions from Nikhil ji. So the market share of the company is very, very tiny. Like now, of course, like nobody knows the actual market size. These are all projections. The reason for that is कि like there are a lot of private companies where the data is not like accurately available. So these are just estimates that the total size of market is obviously $7 billion plus in India today for infrastructure as a service. And so essentially the market share we have is like very, very small compared to that based on our revenue. Now, can't the company grow faster? Like, obviously, we would like the company to grow faster. So that is why the strategy is to kind of like invest more into sales, marketing, R&D, all the functions, and also growing the inventory so that like we are able to kind of like do more trials and proof of concepts for the customers. And we obviously hope that over a 3-4 year period, like we are able to find our groove in terms of being able to grow kind of like at the same percentage rate or much higher percentage rate than the industry growth. So that's the overall idea. Now there is a question that revenue per customer is tiny. How can this grow? So how this would grow is basically by the sales team focusing on the higher ARPU customer, so which they have already started doing. So now this may or may not result in growth of ARPU, because when we start marketing more and we start doing more sales, as more people become aware of E2E in the marketplace, so obviously a lot of smaller self-service customers would also get themselves onboarded, even without any support from any salespeople. So, can't predict the future, but like we are obviously focused on growing the monthly recurring revenue and growing the ARPU of the customers that our sales team is approaching. Now, the cloud is a very competitive space. So the answer to that is like, of course, we are also a very competitive company, as given through our pricing that we give to our customers. Now, does the company need to tie up with any foreign partners for better technology? And then there is another question about, does the company plan to list on BSC? So at the current moment, there is no plan to list on the BSC, but of course, like the plans can change in the future. does the company need to tie up? We don't need to tie up with any foreign partner for better technology. Our approach is to develop the technology in-house. But that being said, like whenever an opportunity arises for us to evaluate technology being sold by any player, Indian or foreign, so we are most happy to kind of like evaluate it and figure out like if we can utilize the technology for the betterment of the customer experience of our customers. So that always remains open. So once again, I thank you, all of you, for all your questions. And again, I would like to remind the shareholders who have not yet voted that they will be able to cast their votes by using the cast your vote button on the right hand side of your VC meeting screen. And the results would be announced within 48 hours of conclusion of the meeting. Now, with the consent of all the members and the board members, we would like to end this meeting, and we wish. I would like to. We would like to leave the meeting, and we wish all the shareholders a healthy and safe future, and request all of you to take care of yourself and your families. So, thank you, everyone.
And thank you to our compliance team as well.
Thank you so much, Chairman Sir, and all other panelist members for conducting this AGM in a smooth manner. As this meeting stands concluded now, so you may take exit from the panel. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.